For the first 30 seconds of this video, here is everything you need to know, because what began as a simple exploration of an abandoned forest ended with the discovery of tapes that were never meant to be found, recordings that reveal a slow descent into terror, unexplained presences, distorted reality, and evidence so disturbing that several parts were removed, censored, or mysteriously corrupted. And by the end of this story you will understand why some places should never be explored, why certain footage refuses to stay hidden, and why the forest where these tapes were found is now avoided by everyone who knows the truth. The story begins with a forest that does not appear on most maps, a stretch of land surrounded by ordinary towns, yet strangely isolated, where locals avoid walking at night and even during the day report an overwhelming sense of unease, as if the trees themselves were watching. And it was in this forest that a group of abandoned tapes was discovered, scattered near a collapsed trail, partially buried under leaves and dirt, their labels faded, their contents unknown, and their existence completely undocumented. When the tapes were first recovered, they appeared ordinary old camcorder recordings with no visible markings other than dates written in shaky handwriting, yet the moment playback began, it became clear that these recordings were not ordinary at all, because the footage showed the same forest years earlier, unchanged, silent, and empty, except for a constant feeling that something was wrong, something hidden just beyond the edge of the frame. The recordings followed a slow pattern: days of walking, filming trees, paths, and abandoned structures, with no immediate signs of danger. Yet subtle details began to repeat, such as the cameraman frequently turning round as if hearing something behind him, the camera briefly losing focus for no clear reason, and moments where the sound cut out completely, replaced by low static that seemed to pulse unnaturally. As the tapes continued, a presence began to emerge, not clearly visible, never directly shown, but suggested through reflections, shadows, and brief distortions, and viewers noticed that in several frames, a tall shape appeared between trees, always blurred, always standing perfectly still, always positioned just far enough away to be dismissed, yet too consistent to ignore. The most disturbing aspect of the tapes is the progression, because fear does not arrive suddenly, it grows slowly, creeping into the footage through longer pauses, heavier breathing, and increasingly erratic camera movement, as if the person filming was becoming aware that they were no longer alone. And the forest itself began to feel hostile, with paths appearing longer, landmarks repeating unnaturally, and daylight fading faster than expected. Experts who later analyzed the tapes noted strange anomalies, including time jumps, where hours seemed to pass within minutes, shadows moving independently of light sources, and audio distortions that did not match known technical issues, suggesting interference that could not be easily explained. And these anomalies grew stronger with each recording. Midway through the tapes, the footage becomes more unsettling, showing handwritten symbols carved into trees, symbols that were not present earlier, appearing overnight, arranged in patterns that suggest observation rather than randomness. And in several recordings the camera lingers on these markings for too long, as if compelled to focus on them. One of the most chilling discoveries occurs when a frame-by-frame analysis reveals something hidden in the background of multiple tapes. A tall, faceless figure wearing what appears to be a dark suit, blending unnaturally with the environment, its proportions wrong, its presence silent, and its position changing subtly between frames without any visible movement. As the recordings approach their final stages, the sense of dread becomes overwhelming, because the forest no longer feels like a location but like an entity, a closed system where escape is impossible, and the camera begins to shake uncontrollably, the footage frequently cutting to static, while glimpses of the tall figure appear closer each time, no longer hidden behind trees, but standing at the edge of the path. What makes these tapes terrifying is not violence or sudden attacks, but anticipation, the knowledge that something is approaching slowly, deliberately, and without urgency, as if time itself does not matter to it. And the recordings reflect this by stretching moments unbearably long, forcing the viewer to sit with the fear. The final tapes are the most disturbing, because they lack coherence, jumping between locations, showing the same tree from different angles as if the person filming was running in circles, and the audio becomes nearly unbearable, filled with static, low-frequency sounds, and sudden silence that feels unnatural. And in several frames the camera briefly captures the tall figure standing directly behind the cameraman, close enough that its presence dominates the frame. After the last recording, the tapes end abruptly, with no explanation, no conclusion, and no sign of what happened to the person filming. And what makes this ending even more unsettling is that the location where the tapes were found shows no signs of struggle. No equipment, no remains, only the tapes themselves, carefully placed as if meant to be discovered. The legend of Slender Man has existed online for years, often dismissed as fiction or internet folklore, yet these tapes challenge that idea by presenting a consistent pattern, a slow build of psychological terror, environmental manipulation, and an unseen presence that matches descriptions reported across different cultures and time periods. Researchers who studied the tapes reported experiencing headaches, sleep disturbances, and an intense feeling of being watched, particularly after extended viewing. And while skeptics argue this is psychological suggestion, the number of similar reports cannot be ignored, especially when combined with unexplained technical malfunctions during analysis. The forest itself has since been investigated, yet many claim that the area feels different now, quieter, heavier, and some visitors report that electronic devices fail unexpectedly, that paths appear longer than they should, and that shadows seem to linger unnaturally between trees, reinforcing the idea that whatever was captured on those tapes did not remain confined to them. The most terrifying possibility is not that Slender Man exists as a physical entity, but that the act of observation itself plays a role, that watching, recording, and analyzing draws attention, and that the tapes serve not as documentation, but as an invitation, spreading awareness of something that thrives on being noticed but never fully seen. By the end of this video, you may question whether these tapes were truly abandoned or deliberately left behind, whether the forest is a location or a gateway, and whether the footage is a warning or a trap. Because once you have seen these recordings, the idea of Slender Man stops being a story and starts feeling like a presence. And if you found this story disturbing, intriguing, or impossible to forget, make sure to subscribe to the channel, leave a comment sharing your thoughts on what was found in the forest, and share this video with someone brave enough to watch until the very end.